Hello and welcome to the Highlander Help channel. Today we're going to talk about the website called Padlet.com. Padlet is an online post-it board where students can work in real time to basically include post-its, pictures, memes, all sorts of things, answer responses, and they can do this anonymously or with their name. So you can definitely make it very inclusive for all students. And it's a really great way to get students working together, making it a very collaborative assignment and a place to really post all information on that particular topic in one place. So let's talk about how to use Padlet. So when you go to Padlet.com, you can log in with your Google, which is great because it does work with Google Suite. And once you log in, you will get a main page. So this is what my main page looks like. As you can see, I have used Padlet before when we did this, the Crucible a few months ago. So there's two things you can do. The first thing you want to do is you can make a Padlet. So say you're starting off from scratch, you would hit make a Padlet. And now you have a bunch of different options. You have about 8 options of ways that you want your Padlet to be aligned. So the wall option is where it's kind of like a brick-like layout. Canvas is where you can scatter, group, and connect content in any way. The stream is kind of just like a stream on your Google Classroom where things are going to post under each other. A grid where you can arrange content in rows of boxes. Shelf where you can stack content in a series of columns. You have the back channel where you can communicate in a chat-like environment. Map where you can add content to points on a map. This is really great for things like social studies, history. And then timeline, again, another social studies history, but also I can see this being used in an ELA when you're trying to basically track the plot of a story. I think that would work. So you would pick one. I'm just going to pick wall. Okay, so here you get to do a few things. One, you get to title your Padlet. So this would be maybe sample, and it goes to the top. And then you can give a description of it. So here it already gives you made with strength to succeed. You can create an icon where you can use smileys. So maybe you're talking about Romeo and Juliet, and there's the scene where they're falling in love, right? So you can kind of put an icon to fit what you're doing. You get an address, so you get a web link. You're going to change the appearance. So again, this is great in terms of maybe you have a certain picture you want to discuss, and that's going to be the background. If it's Romeo and Juliet, maybe you're doing a balcony scene or something like that. You could do solid colors. So for students who maybe get easily distracted, you can kind of mix it around to kind of fix those types of situations that you might come across. You can change your font and, of course, your color scheme, which would be white text versus a black back or a black background, black text, things like that. All right, attribution. So if you want to display your student's name, so say you're using this as an assessment tool, you need to know what each student is contributing to the conversation or to the assignment. You might want to hit yes to this so that students' names pop up. Or if you would prefer your students be anonymous so that they are free to discuss whatever content, you can keep it without their name. New post position, so where do you want posts to appear, first, last, things like that. You can allow comments on posts. So say you have students grouped into assignments, and this is going to be kind of their product at the end of whatever it is that they're doing in their groups. You can have them post. Everyone's posting again in real time, so you'll see everybody's posts at one time as they're adding to the Padlet. And then maybe you want groups to comment on each of the posts so that they're kind of getting mixed into the conversation of all the different activities of the groups. I can see this really working well for ELA specifically, just because I can assign different sections of a text to my students in groups or just in general because I have fewer students in my class. And each student would get a different text, and maybe they're going to summarize on their Padlet, and then maybe I want other students to comment on that little piece so that everybody's exposed. You can also give reactions, so you can kind of upvote it. So you can like the post, very much like something like Instagram or Facebook, those types of features. We can vote it up or down. So maybe you're going to have students do a poll of some sort and you're going to have them vote. You can give them stars, up to 5 stars. So if you're looking for a specific kind of writing, maybe you want a paragraph response, you can give them stars based on how well you think they did. And of course, you can give them a graded score as well. Lastly, you can have the ability to require approval, so they can't post until you say yes. So this is great for students where you want to really monitor what's being written, so in front of everybody. And also you can filter profanity, so if you feel that your students might struggle with stuff like that, you can filter it so that they're not able to post those types of things. Once you kind of fill out how you want this to be laid out, you're going to hit next. And now you're all set and you can start posting. All right, so now we're at the place where they can start to post. If you're ready to share it with students, you can hit share at the top here, and you can share it in a couple of ways. So you can share directly on Google Classroom, which is great, or if you want to just share a link and put it in your Google Meet, send it through email, or embed it onto a blog or a website, you're able to do that as well. You could also embed it into like a Pear Deck or Google Slides, Google Doc, things like that. So you would hit share, you can share it with your students, and now we can get into the how do you use it type thing. So students can click anywhere on the screen once they hit this plus sign. So there's a plus sign at the bottom right-hand corner. It says double click anywhere, drag files in, paste from the clipboard, or click here to post. So they could double click anywhere on the screen. Here they can title whatever it is they're doing. So maybe they're doing group 1, and then they can add whatever it is that they need to be being assessed on. They can also do a couple of other options. They can upload something from the computer. So maybe you want them to upload a Google Doc. They can add a link. So maybe they had to look for credible sources to support that, or they needed to look for an article in social studies as proof, things like that. They can Google, and they can add something for Google. They can add an image, and they can add, they can capture a video. So that's really great too if you want to have them maybe do a video response rather than just a written response. They can do a voice response as well. If you're having them do group work and say you have them in breakout groups, you can have them record their screen and post their recorded screen. So that's great for when you do breakout rooms and you're not always in the breakout room with each group of students and you want to see what they are accomplishing. You can have them record their screen and upload it. They can draw, they can add a location, and they can link to other Padlets. Now, once they do that, they are really in a good place because they will all start to pop up. Now, if I logged in on another computer, I could start adding to this as well. Or they can just hit the plus sign and they can just keep going. Now, the nice thing too is like you can drag things around. So if you have those, if you want to insert in groups and you have a bunch of stuff, you can drag certain things or certain concepts. So maybe you have students looking at different works of Edgar Allan Poe, and you want them to start to come up with topics within the, or themes, or character traits, right? And maybe then you can take this and as they're adding themes or whatever it is that they're looking and exploring through, you can start to group them into certain places. So maybe all the themes of, or the topics of death, you might want to put all of those posts together, all the topics of love together, all the topics of mental health together, etc. And then that way you can kind of start to have and build a discussion based on that. That's pretty much the gist of Padlet. There's just a couple of other ways to use it. Padlet is great for brainstorming on a topic, a statement, a project, or an idea. It's great if you want students to work, again, in breakout groups and you're trying to see a product, or if you want them to be in breakout groups but be working on a Padlet all at the same time to kind of get their ideas. It's great as a live question bank where you can ask students questions during the lessons and you don't have to stop early to go over the questions. Everything's kind of there, and they're able to respond pretty much immediately in real time. It's good if you want to gather student work all in one place, because again, other students can see what others have done, and you can also use it for articles and research on a topic. So maybe you're going to have all students research a certain topic, and you want them to put all of their sources on Padlet, and then that way all students can access the different sources that are found. It's great if you want to use it as a student portfolio tool, so you can create boards for every student individually and let them post assignments or projects or articles on there where you can comment on each one and give them some meaningful feedback. They're great as entrance tickets and exit tickets as well. It kind of mixes things up, and you can literally post things like, if you had to explain today's lesson to someone, what would you tell them? What are the 3 main points we covered? What are 2 questions you might have? And then you're able to see what everybody is thinking. And you can, again, do that anonymously, or you can do that with their names. And that's kind of it. You can also use it for thinking maps and just really classroom communication, book discussions, analyzing quotes, current events. It really is like a one place for everything, because it gives you so much ability to add and to really work collaboratively with your students. Once you're done, that saves. So if I were to go back to Padlet, I will now see that's saved in my Padlets. Now, I do believe that the free version only lets you have a certain amount of Padlets, and then you'd have to upgrade to a paid version. But again, if you're not trying to keep them for long periods of time and say it's just meant for a quick discussion or a quick entrance ticket or exit ticket, you could just kind of reuse the Padlets and delete what's on there. And then here's just a quick sample of one that I did so that you have an idea of what this would look like in the classroom. So what I did was I posted different topics for the Crucible. I put hysteria, jealousy, etc. And my students had to come up with memes or videos that represented the definition of those topics. And then they were able to comment on them where they had to actually define it. And again, it was anonymous so that students wouldn't see each other who's writing what. And this is kind of what it came out to be. And my students, when they first posted it, all of these pieces were kind of all over the place, and they were able to drag and drop them to the correct spot. And that's just one way that you can use Padlet.